From Field Pass Hockey Southern Command, this is the Inside the SPHL podcast. Here is your host, James Hayes.
Welcome to this week's episode of Inside the SPHL. I am your host, James Hayes, and we got another fun-filled episode ahead for you guys. As always, I got a guest, and I'm going to jabber and blabber on about a bunch of stuff that I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to talking about everything in the league last weekend. And that's about it. That's about it for this week. So I got a good one lined up for you. I hope you guys enjoy it. But let's get right to it. Let's get to the guest. My guest is a Whistler, British Columbia native. He played in the BCHL, and then he played his college. He came to the States for college, played with St. Cloud State, and spent some time over in Europe, played in a few different pretty interesting places we'll definitely get into. But he's been a staple for the Pensacola Ice Flyers. He is an SPHL champion. He is the captain of the Ice Flyers. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Garrett Milan. Garrett, how's it going, man?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. It's I know your free time during hockey season is precious, so I don't want to steal too much of it. So, but no, how's everything going? How's everything going in Pensacola right now? I mean, I know you guys have kind of had an up and down season to get going. So, I mean, you give me your perspective.
Yeah, obviously it's been a little up and down for us. Kind of winning one game in the week, losing one game, kind of that 500 record. But, we want to be a little more consistent, obviously, in our play. But we got a lot of young guys that are kind of coming into their own. And you can tell week by week basis that everyone's kind of picking up different game plans and different tactics. So, it's coming along. But obviously, we wish it would have been a little bit faster pace. But that's kind of why we play 6 games and kind of want to get that out early and then kind of get it rolling towards the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't matter unless you're in the top 8, right? I mean, that's kind
exactly.
of the way I look at it.
It's the playoffs. That's what it counts. Obviously, you want to be hot at the right times of the year, but it is kind of nice to go through that those hard points of the season, right? Obviously, you don't want to be going in just having nothing. So it is good to kind of get that out of the way now and kind of learn from it and hopefully get better as a team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys have showed some resilience. You went down 3-0 to Macon early a couple weeks ago and ended up winning that one. And then you went down against Birmingham this past not too long ago and came back in that one. Unfortunately, you lost that one. But I mean, you guys show some resiliency. You know how to do it. It's just it just seems like is there just like a little piece of the puzzle that's missing? One game of the weekend, because it's like you said, it is. It's you guys split every weekend. It seems
yeah, it's tough. Obviously, when you're playing, you want a full 60 minutes. Obviously, you want to have that 60-minute good effort for all 60 minutes. I think what's our kind of our heel right now is just having that 5 to 10 minute span where we just kind of go to sleep, as you kind of say. So our D's only got to pick up a little bit better, and we are getting better. Obviously, like after the first period in Birmingham, we had 5 scoreless periods. They had no one scored on us. So to go from that to obviously letting 4 goals in and then having nothing for the next how many periods is a good sign, obviously, that we're doing, but we need to be more consistent. And obviously that starts on Friday night.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about you and let's kind of jump into, I as I said earlier, you're a Vancouver native. And so obviously you were born with skates on when you came out of the womb. So kind of tell me when did you start skating? Were you about 3-4 years old, like everybody else that's from Canada?
Well, I actually was 18 months old when I first put on skates. I have a picture. Yeah, when I was 18 months old, I had little boots inside the 2 blades. So yeah, that was just skating, obviously. But probably when I was about 3 or 4, I was actually doing organized hockey, then going through the ranks up that way. But yeah, it was definitely in a young age for sure as a kid.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't even know what I was doing when I was 18 months old, but I know I definitely wasn't skating.
Yeah, no, I got lucky for sure.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's an area up there too where there's a lot of good hockey. I mean, Joe Sakic's from the same area. I mean, he's from Burnaby, which is kind of that Vancouver area, and I mean, so there's a lot. I mean, when you were growing up, were you a Canucks fan? I mean, who was it that you were looking up to?
Oh yeah, no, I was a huge Canucks fan. Obviously, growing up around that area and growing up close to Vancouver, it's nice to have like a team like that you can look up to. Obviously, they were good back then. Right now, it's a little bit of struggles for them. But yeah, no, I was a huge Canucks fan growing up, and I think everyone was around the area.
Were you burning the city down with everybody else when the Bruins beat them?
I was actually in Vancouver with a bunch of my friends for that game. And it was mayhem. It was crazy. I've never been a part of anything like that and see what was going on. It was like, holy cow. I was trying to we were trying to go back to my friend's house at the time, and it was pretty much lockdown in the whole city. No one could get in or out at the time. A lot of times, like all the transportation was because you take the subway in and out of the city a lot of times, and they were shut down, so you couldn't go anywhere. So you try to leave, and you're stuck in the mayhem. So yeah, it was a wild scene. Obviously, it was tough to see a city like that is very normally pretty quiet and good in sports towns and all like that. And to see that happen obviously was disappointing. But obviously there's extra stuff that goes in on that stuff. But yeah, it was.
No, you're right. Insane scene. I think out of all the Stanley Cup finals, that's going to be one that always sticks in my head. And I mean, it's just, and it's for the wrong reason, right? I mean, it was a great final.
Yeah, I mean, that's up 3-1 too, and we were going like, all right, this is their year to win the championship, Stanley Cup, and nope, they didn't get done.
No, it just didn't work out.
No.
But so jumping back in history a little bit before that, I mean, when you went to go play, you played for the Burnaby Express. You played for a couple of teams in the BCHL, and then after that, you went to St. Cloud State. And so what was it that made you decide to come to the States to play college hockey over, staying and playing juniors in Canada?
Yeah, it was kind of a weird situation. Obviously, when I was, you can get into juniors when you're 16 years old. That's the first age you can actually officially make a team. And I actually made a team out of training camp. I was offered by a contract out of the Pearl Bruni hockey team, but we ended up saying no to that. And then I actually made the Burnaby Express out of camp at 16. But my dad and I had a kind of a conversation, and he said, what do you think is the best situation getting a college scholarship if you're going to stay in Burnaby, or do you want to get to maybe a better organization team such as a Penticton, a Vernon, Victoria type thing? And obviously at 16, I didn't know where the best spot was to go, and obviously my dad kind of had a bit of guidance in that, so it was nice. And we decided to not sign in the BCHL at 16, but to wait a year and play major midget. I had a great coach and John Calvano there, and ended up verbally committing to agree to sign in Penticton for the next year. And that was one of the better decisions I made in my hockey career for sure. And after that, or before, I guess, like in the rookie season, I committed to St. Cloud State. That was a tough decision. Obviously there were some schools that were interested, and I was very interested in other schools. And I thought that was the best decision at the time. Looking back, you can kind of pick and choose. Obviously I didn't play as much as I would prefer in college, and you always kind of go back and say, oh, I would have played more here or there, but you kind of, I don't want to always look back on those decisions and just kind of look forward, because it's brought me to a lot of good places, hockey, and maybe if I went somewhere else, I would have not had those opportunities. So looking back, I definitely thought like relationships as I've gone through, and guys that I met in college are lifelong friends. So I enjoyed my time there. Obviously hockey wasn't maybe the best in my opinion for myself anyways. It was great league, great team, great guys. But now obviously it's brought me here, so I can't complain there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. How much different was it playing in Penticton to St. Cloud State? I mean, was the hockey a lot different, or was it pretty much the same as what just everybody was the best player on the team? Yeah,
it's a little different. Obviously, like juniors is a little younger than college. College is definitely you're kind of there's a lot more video, a lot more structure to it. It's definitely kind of more professional, I would say. Obviously, junior, where I was in Penticton, it did help me a lot to get to college, because we were run as a professional organization. Obviously, in junior hockey, there's a mixed bag of everything. You can hear horror stories or good stories, and a lot of teams that don't have the full amount of money that can afford that equipment, whether it's gyms in the locker room or video kind of equipment to make the team better, the players better, individuals. And in Penticton, we were very fortunate to have that. So we had a great staff, and Fred Harbinson did a great job of not only developing players, but also getting them to the next level, such as colleges and bringing in colleges to look at guys. So I was very fortunate for them. But the difference definitely, obviously, bigger, stronger guys in college, and everyone wants to get to the next level once you get there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody was the best player on their team before they showed up there. So it's always tough.
Yeah.
But so what was the decision once you graduated? Well, first off, what did you study when you were at St. Cloud State?
Marketing major.
Marketing. Nice.
Marketing.
That's a good one.
And yeah, it is. And it's good because it's broad, obviously. But when you go in there as a kid, you don't really know exactly what you want to do. And you ask the guys around, and they're, oh, I'm in business. And obviously myself, I try to be a good person around, a good communicator type thing, and I think business is going to suit me well in the future.
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of the go-to. I still kind of think it's crazy that you have to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life when you're like 18 years old, 19 years old.
Yeah, and then you're taking all these classes, and you're like, oh, maybe I want to change, maybe I
Yeah.
don't. But yeah, definitely. I think business marketing for myself anyway. At least the marketing side was definitely a little more broad and more general. You can kind of go whichever direction you want to go with it.
Yeah, definitely. So after that, you went and played in Hungary, which is I don't know that I've had anybody on the podcast that's played in Hungary. So you got to tell me about that. How did that decision come about? What was it like? I mean, walk me through this.
So that was actually a weird first year for myself. I was out of college and wanted to kind of stay over here a little bit. Didn't really have much offers, didn't have any interest really. And I actually had a coach that reached out to me first off in the Netherlands,
Nice.
in that league. And he was a Canadian coach. The league wasn't very strong that I know of. It used to be good. Now it's kind of gone downhill a little bit. And it was really my only offer at the time. So I didn't really have an agent at the time. So I rolled with it. I said, hey, you know what? I'd love to come and play for you guys. He gave me a lot of interest. And he said, if your ability is a little bit higher here, we can try to get you a different league. And him being Canadian coach and North American over here, I kind of, enjoyed that aspect of it. So I was actually about to take that. And I was talking to my friend in Hungary who was playing there, who he kind of went back and forth on, hey, we want to bring another guy in. Oh, hey, we have too many imports now. And then, so I actually took the offer in the Netherlands. I was on my connecting flight in Philadelphia from Vancouver when I got a call from my friend in Hungary saying, hey, our team wants to bring you in on a tryout basis. Would you take it? And I kind of made the decision right there on the phone because it was definitely a better league. I said, yeah, I'll take it. So I called the coach in the Netherlands and redirected my flight after I landed in Belgium. So it was definitely whirlwind. I got a contract after the first day in Hungary. But yeah, it was kind of just went on a limb and went with it, believed in my abilities to make the team over there. And it actually it worked out well, but it was definitely kind of a weird 24 hours there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, having to make a decision while you're, supposed to be getting on a plane to go somewhere else. I mean,
I didn't call my parents until I think I was landed in Hungary because I just didn't really have any time to get, like, the connection flights were so quick. And I called them and they said, have you made it? And I said, yeah, I'm actually in Hungary now. So that was kind of interesting for them to go with, but obviously they knew that was the right decision to get to the best league as possible as you can, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, that first year you played for a couple of teams and then you went and played in Scotland. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, another place that I don't feel like I've had somebody that's played in Scotland before in Edinburgh. I mean, so how did you get from Hungary to Scotland? I mean, how did you get into the EIHL?
Yeah. So I went to my second team in Hungary. Obviously the first team was a lot of turmoil there and a lot of things that went sideways. So I actually asked out and got offered a contract with another team. With a North American coach that helped me and it was a little better situation for myself. And then we didn't make playoffs, unfortunately. So once that season ends, you kind of have that window where different leagues are open that you can still actually transfer to other leagues. So fortunately for me, we finished our season early enough in Hungary that I was still able to go to another league. And I had a couple friends that I played against or with who actually vouched for me to the coach and wanted me to come over there. And they had a couple guys leave from their team at the end of the season. So I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to go there, which I took it for sure. But it's definitely a good league over there. There's 14 imports and a lot of strong, ex-NHL guys, ex-AHL guys. So it was definitely a good league for me to get to.
Definitely. I mean, you went on and played there the next season. But I mean, you got to tell me about Scotland. I mean, that area you were in, there's so much history there. I mean, it had to have been a pretty cool experience, right?
Yeah, no, it was a great city. Obviously there was a lot to do, rich history. There was, you're sitting in different bars or restaurants and they tell you exactly what happened there back in the day. And you're kind of going, oh, this is kind of crazy that who's been there or what kind of transpired back in the day there. So it was definitely a cool city that way. If you're rich into history, it's a place to visit. A good bucket list place for myself, which was a fun place to play for a year and a half there.
Yeah, definitely. Let's jump back to Hungary. What was the best part of being in Hungary? Like besides the hockey, outside of the game, what was there?
Yeah, Hungary was different. It was obviously, I think about like 80% of the population doesn't speak English. Oh, nice. So it's like when you're in Budapest, I played 45 minutes outside of Budapest. So it was close enough where you go into the city, do things there. A lot of different countries and different people that come there. So it was a lot of English speaking in Hungary or in Budapest in general. But once you stepped outside of Budapest, the English definitely went out the door. So it was tough. Yeah, it was hard. So we had a lot of the guys that knew English and they could come and help us, order food, or you had English menus that you kind of point to so they would know what you want. But it was interesting. But it's all, after looking back on it, everything's a good experience, and you kind of take that to other places that you go. And when you're 40 years old or 50 years old and you look back on your career, you kind of say, hey, I got to go play in a couple different neat areas, and Hungary was definitely one of them for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's cool. So after that, you kind of gave up on the European tour for a minute, and you ended up in Pensacola. Mm-hmm. So tell me how that came about after the 16-17 season. No more Scotland, and you came to play on the warm, sandy beaches of Pensacola.
Yeah, again, that was another whirlwind summer. I was actually pretty much going back to Europe again. Had a coach from my Hungarian team that wanted me to come over and play in Italy. And the deal fell through at the last minute. And then I was sitting here at home and going, oh, shoot, like what's going on? I got all the teams in Europe that are already starting. So they kind of filled all their rosters. And then, went to the ECHL, and a lot of those rosters were already full as well. And had a tryout in Atlanta, made that team out of camp. And then, a day later, they send 3 guys down from the AHL. So that's kind of the trickle down effect, obviously, over here. So that, and then I just kind of fell in my hands that Jeff Best at the time wanted me at the end of the summer. So I came down here. I had a friend, Joey Holka, who played for for Pensacola here and won a championship. And he had great things to say about the organization, from Greg down to the coaching staff, down to the area. So it was a good decision that was a no-brainer in my mind. So I came down here and just loved it ever since. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at everywhere you've played before, and everywhere you've played, minus Hungary, was you've been close to water on a beach. You played on an island. You've played everywhere, even in Vancouver. You're right there next to the coast or up in that area. I mean, so was it really hard to turn down or to say yes to the sandy beaches of Pensacola, Florida?
Yeah, once you get the pictures of where you're staying and the beach, it's definitely you can't say no to that. But it's obviously the organization is great here. You come down here to win, and that's the mentality first and foremost, but to win a championship every year. But it's definitely you can't beat the beach sometimes, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's still, people forget it gets chilly down around here, but it's still not as bad as up north.
No, yeah, you're definitely not seeing snow or minus temperatures down here. But it's, especially like this year, it's been warm up until this point. So we definitely get lucky where we play.
So that year, after that year, you decided you were going back to Germany, and you went or back to Europe. Excuse me, I gave away the spoiler. It was Germany, everybody. Yeah. So, but you went and played in Germany for 22 games, but you also played in the SPHL and the ECHL that year. So that sounds like a really busy year. So I guess talk me through that season.
Yeah, that was a whirlwind season. Obviously, going over to Germany, I thought it was going to pan out a little bit better than what it did. A lot of times different organizations, they can say whatever you want. Obviously during the summertime, you don't really know exactly until you get there. But it was a good experience. Obviously I never want to like downplay an organization or what they did, but it was just more of an experience for me. And that I found after a couple of games, I wasn't enjoying it personally. So we kind of mutually decided to part ways, and, I had a good chance to come down here again, obviously. And Greg and, Rod obviously opened him, gave me open arms to come back here, and that was a good decision for myself. And then I actually got the opportunity to go up to the ECHL pretty much 2 weeks in when I was down here. So took that obviously, and that's ECHL is always great to get up to if you can, and you never know how much you're gonna play or not play. So it was a good situation for me, and then came down here to try to help the team win a championship at the end of the season. Obviously it came a little short, but definitely wanted to do that at the end of the season.
Yeah. I mean, that's in Germany, another bucket list you got, or not. I don't know if it was a bucket list, but another European nation. You've been there. You don't have to go back now, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's like, you definitely know which places you want to go back to or not. Obviously, you played in certain areas, and you can see different teams, different rinks, and you end up actually kind of knowing either the imports or other players in those teams, and you kind of ask them what they think of that area and what they think of those organizations. So you definitely build a good repertoire when you go over there to Europe. So you know kind of where you want to go back to, or if guys have stories about not going to certain places or going to certain places. So it's good to get that out of the way.
Is the place that you played at in Germany, is it seriously an island in like right off the coast of a lake? Like,
so yeah, it's not actually an island where we've specifically played. But there was an island like 2 minutes away from the rink. Like literally you could walk out to the water. Like we actually our arena only had 3 walls, like 3 solid walls. So it was actually just it was a curtain, but it was a big curtain, obviously, thick curtain that actually looked over the water. So if you took that down, you would have seen the water right there. So it was on the border of Switzerland and Austria. So it was definitely a cool area to play in, and it was cool. It was a good area that you could travel to. So you can travel around in those countries as well. So it's pretty easy to move around.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So the COVID season comes up after that, and there's really nothing to talk about that season because the season got canceled and everybody wants to forget that whole year ever happened. So we'll skip over that. But you were back in Pensacola that year.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to the good season. The next year, it was an insane season. There was so much talent in the SPHL that year because so many players were trying to find somewhere to play. You were able to stick it out and stay in Pensacola. I mean, just tell me about that off season building up to actually playing that year. Cause it was like the day after Christmas, I think that season got started.
Yeah. So I think we reported, we had to report to camp about December 18th or something like that. It was, but yeah, no, it was obviously great. Obviously I talked with Rod throughout the summer and I think obviously being down on the beach and having that, just that kind of organization, everyone knows that we do want to win down here. We get good fans. It definitely helped us getting some of those big top name guys, obviously with a lot of the guys from Peoria coming down, helping us win a championship. It was a great year. So obviously from the summer, we knew the guys that we wanted to target to come down here, and we got most of them. So it was a good start to the year. And then, yeah, we had an up and down year throughout the season. Obviously it was a very tough league with either just, the talent level on each team, but also only playing, 4 other teams. It was it was like a mini playoff series all the time. I think we played Macon like 6 times in a row that year at one point, and we were like, holy cow, I feel like there's no other team in the league, right? But it definitely made it competitive. So you know exactly who you're going up against, you know exactly what they're going to do from a night in, night out standpoint. So it was definitely an exciting year for all of us. I thought so.
Yeah, travel wasn't too bad that year. I mean, the furthest north you had to go was Knoxville. That's not too much of a drive from Pensacola. So.
No, it wasn't. And that's what's the one thing. Obviously, with us, it's the quickest road trip is probably Birmingham. So we made the travel a lot less, which was nice too.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I feel like a lot of people counted you guys out that year. I mean, Knoxville and Macon were the teams, everybody was talking about coming into the playoffs and everything. And I'm gonna be honest, I counted you guys out. And then it just seems like you guys just did it. You just pulled it together and I mean, just kind of walk me through that playoff. I mean, that was a fun playoff. I mean, after a year, like you said, where you're only playing 4 other teams, everybody so well, and now it's playoff time and you're playing the same guys.
Yeah. Obviously again, like kind of like the struggles we've gone through this year already I think we went through our struggles really early on. It was kind of up and down season, obviously with Hagman there, he got injured throughout a lot of the season. So he came back at the right time. We got healthy at the right time. We got our goaltending back at the right time. Kupski came in back down from the ECHL. So we were actually, we were trending upwards at the right time of the season. And obviously in this league, when you have 56 games, but you only have, maybe best of 3 series in a lot of the series until the final sometimes, but you want to be trending in the right direction at the right time. I think that was our team. We went through struggles at the beginning of the year. A lot of guys did kind of just say, all right, hopefully get them the first round, but we had a lot of talent. And when our talent was playing well and we were working well as a team, like I don't think anyone could have stopped us. So obviously it showed. We went 4-0 in the playoffs, and I think it was a good matchup that we had Macon second. Obviously they were hot going into playoffs as well, but I think we built a lot of momentum in the first round of playoffs against Knoxville there, and it showed that we could beat anyone on any given night. So rolling to Macon that first game, we definitely felt like we could win it all for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was just like I said, that was a great year. I like whenever it's almost Roanoke almost did that last year. They were the team everybody ignored, but no, that was a good season. But then after that, I don't know what your obsession is with Europe. You go back to Europe, so you win an SPHL championship, and then you go to Sweden.
Yeah.
So tell me how that decision. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from you. If I could go to Europe all the time for my job, I would love to do it just to see a few places.
Yeah. It was obviously you have an age in this point of the career, and they kind of come out with different offers. Excuse me, here and there, and the money's definitely a little better over in Europe. But it's something that you want to get the experience to. Sweden is obviously a very well-known hockey country, which is a little bit different than some of the other countries that I've been to. So I didn't want to experience that. So I decided to go there and give it a go. Obviously, I got injured a little bit throughout the season, but overall it was a pretty good season for myself. But yeah, it was definitely a hard decision to make. I've been treated so well here. I love the organization. I love the ownership. I love the fans that treat me very well here, just with the utmost respect and just give me a lot of love throughout the seasons and support. So it was definitely a tough decision to leave. But sometimes you just gotta, you got to take that experience and roll with it. And Sweden was on the docket that I wanted to go play, so I decided to go over there for a bit.
Yeah, definitely. So now that we've closed to date your European tour, you got to give me your craziest European hockey story or outside of the rink story. You got to have one. There's no way, especially in Hungary where you didn't even speak the language.
There is a lot. I mean, it all depends on organizations, right? Like you don't want to say too much for the organization, but the second team that I went to, the imports were using used sticks at the time. Nice. So we went there and then they were using used gear. So that was a good one to see, obviously. And that's the thing is like, when people come out of college here, rookies, whether it's guys in Division I programs or Division III programs, you get treated very well in college. Even in these leagues, you get treated well. You get free sticks, things like that. But you go to Europe, it's a hit or miss. It's like either you have a really good organization that'll get you whatever you want customized, or you're going to a team that's going to be like, we're going to cheap out and here's some new stuff. So right. You definitely want to be that's what I kind of tell all the young guys when they come in and they want to go over to Europe, because that's definitely where the money is, obviously, with playing in these type of leagues. Yeah. But you definitely got to have to be cognitive of where you're going and just kind of to see what you want to be, because it can definitely be a little bit different over there with professionalism for sure.
Yeah, I mean, were you playing with wooden sticks? Is that what you're telling me?
I was lucky that I got my stuff from the other team. So I was very lucky, but some of the
nice
borderline, some pretty tough stuff.
That's great. I've heard a few stories about going over. I mean, even in Australia, you haven't played in that league yet. That's where you got to go.
I've been asked a couple times from my friends, but my off season, sometimes I get pretty banged up throughout the season. And I definitely enjoy my off season, especially at my age now. It's you gotta, either whether it's take time to go make some money, some more money type thing, or just rest the body and train for next season. But yeah, Australia would be a cool place, but I don't know if I could handle those spiders over there. So
no, I'm with you. Australia has some stuff that I don't know. There's something wrong with that whole everything there. There's just something wrong. The creatures there are things nightmares are made of.
About 6 or 7 of the top 10 deadliest creatures in the world. I don't probably want to go there. So
that's right.
It's probably not on my top of my bucket list right now.
Yeah, no. I mean, you've already played in some pretty cool places. You don't need to go there. But so what do you do when you're not playing hockey? Like what's life like in the off season for you?
Oh, in the off season, obviously being back in Whistler is a big resort town with like mountains are everywhere. So I enjoy hiking, going camping on the weekends with some friends. Mountain biking, I mountain biked as a kid and kind of got away from it the last couple of years, just because you don't want to get hurt for playing hockey. But this year I got back into it, so I was biking a lot, and then a big golfer as well in the summertime. So just going to the lakes, hanging out with friends. Obviously, you want to get your training in when you can, and that's first and foremost. But as you get older, you definitely want to have enjoyment in that other stuff, whether it's going hiking or going on camping trips or things like that. So I'm very fortunate where I live, where I'm in the outdoors, so I can do that. So yeah, definitely have to take advantage when you can.
Yeah. What kind of mountain bike you ride? You got a full suspension front and rear?
Yeah, full suspension. Yeah, got a big enduro bike, so we got into the downhilling and the enduro riding this year. So yeah, it's an expensive sport, but it's definitely worth it. Obviously, you kind of almost use it, to be honest, as your conditioning. We're biking up the mountain for like an hour and a half, and then you get a 20 to 30 minute descent. So it's definitely a fun sport. It's expensive. You got to fix things on it, but it's definitely fun to get into.
Yeah, I had a mountain bike I gave way too much money for at one point. I don't have it anymore, but I know what you mean when you say it's expensive.
Yeah.
But downhill, I mean, that's crazy, man.
Mhm.
You get moving. People don't realize like how
Oh, yeah.
fast you're going when you're going downhill on a mountain bike.
Oh yeah, you're doing the jumps and the drops, and yeah, it's not the safest action sport, and it's probably
No.
not something that I should be doing in the off season. But yeah, there was a couple close calls this year that almost got hurt, but fortunate it worked out well.
Hey, you made it. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, you got to have fun, right? I mean, you can't just live in a bubble whenever it's
Yeah,
not
you gotta
hockey
live
season.
your life. You gotta live your life as well too. Obviously, there's things when you grow up that you're into that you kind of go back to eventually, right? So yeah, doing that stuff. Obviously, playing a softball league, which is fun with my friends and things like that. So you definitely got to enjoy the off season. And I'm a big component of I work hard. Obviously, first and foremost, to train and get your body ready to go for the season. Same thing down here, but I do like to kind of get away from the rink and not think about hockey 24/7 and that's, some guys have to do that. Some guys, obviously, they have to think about hockey all the time to get ready for games, especially in the season or practices and things like that. But for myself, I kind of like to obviously go golfing and talk about other things and enjoy that aspect of life as well.
For sure. So what do you do hockey wise? You got a hockey camp that you run in the off season. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I started out with some off-ice conditioning and speed camps for kids, obviously just kind of out in the field and doing hurdle hops and different things with a lot of one-leg explosion and getting kind of kids. Obviously, everyone's wanting to get into the gym and do weight training and all that stuff. But I think from a young age, you want to obviously be more in tune with your body, whether you're moving kind of just with your body weight. So that's kind of what I train is a lot of explosiveness with body weight actions and different movements that way. So the kids love it. Obviously, it's one of those things. You're out in the field, you're jumping over hurdles, you're doing side-to-side movements, and it's actually fun for the kids. They don't fully understand that it's actually working to a certain thing, getting stronger that way. It's not just, get 300 pounds on your back and go squat. So I definitely enjoy that aspect. And you see the kids get, obviously, not only getting better and getting faster, but also enjoying it, putting a smile on their face and enjoying coming to the field every day, working hard. And then the last couple of years, I've been doing some coaching with a local community and a local company back home. So I do a lot of skills coaching on the ice, which has been good. Obviously keeps me on the ice too, because we only have one ice rink back home. So it's tough to get ice time sometimes. So that's always handy when I can get out there and do that stuff too.
I can't believe there's a place in Canada that only has one ice rink. I can't believe that.
It's tough. I'm from a small community, so it's only about 10,000 residents. Yeah. And then the closest rink besides that is about 45 minutes, and that's closed during the summertime. They take out the ice. So I do have to go down to Vancouver every once in a while, especially when it gets closer to this season, to get on the ice, and you can play with a little bit better players that are obviously, going to Europe or going to the ECHL or SPHL. And, even obviously NHL guys are down there training. So I've had a relationship with some of those guys over the past years from college or from juniors. So going down there to skate every once in a while is good, but obviously with the gas prices this summer was tough to go travel 3 hours for one ice time. So
for sure, for sure, that's you end up losing money on that end. One, so.
Yeah, it was definitely you drive a truck like maybe try to do it for like 3 ice times in a row.
Yeah, there you go. Do you ever have any? You ever cross paths with Carson Rose while you're up there? He's from that area as well.
I have not. No, I haven't actually. So I just saw that he's playing the league this year, but I haven't crossed paths with him yet.
Yeah, I just figured. Everybody knows everybody from that area.
Yeah, so. Most people do. Especially guys down in Vancouver area, like you'll cross paths with guys that are training together. But this last couple seasons, I kind of just stuck up to Whistler and train there and do all my stuff over there.
When you're training these kids, are they trying to get you to teach them all the Zegras tricks where you can flip pucks up? Is that what they're really looking for?
Yeah, it's crazy. So that the Hay Barber guy, he ran a hockey school actually in Whistler the last couple of years too, and the kids definitely they love that. And you gotta, in my aspect, in my personal opinion, like you gotta keep it fun for the kids. You gotta learn that stuff and enjoy it. Obviously, some guys are using that in the game today, and I might have tried it a couple times here and there in games, so I can't say it's bad for the game. It's definitely good for the game and getting kids excited. But you definitely try to tell them at a certain point, like, all right, guys, we're going down on a drill. It's like you shoot to score, not maybe do it between the legs, spinorama, because there's going to be a defenseman behind you. But
you got to pick your moment.
Yeah, there's definitely time to pick a moment. But yeah, no, it's obviously cool to see these kids do those tricks and learn, because 20 years ago it wasn't really like that. So now obviously seeing these kids and smile on their face and seeing them try tricks, in the backyard or whatnot, right? It's definitely cool to have guys and them, they're working on their skills, right? So it's always good.
Definitely. And it's always so cool whenever it works. But then when it doesn't, everybody wants to talk trash. They're like, why is he doing that?
Yeah, I was going to say,
it worked.
If you ask the coaches, they'll probably say, don't try it ever, right?
Yeah.
And there's this, guys will do moves and if you work on, shootout in practice, they'll try different moves. But it's definitely pretty balls if you're going to try them in games and they don't work out, you're looking like the bad person. So
your minutes might be cut down a little bit after that.
Yeah. Or you get a little talking to by the coach, you're not going to go on the shoot anymore or something like that. But it's definitely a hit or miss opportunity if you're going to try one of those moves in a game.
Yeah, that's great. So that's about it. That's pretty much everything I got for you. You got anything else you wanted to add?
No, I just appreciate you guys having me on. It was always good to come out here and talk a little about our team.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. It was great. I'll have to try to do it again. I think you're the first Ice Flyer I've had since Seth Inzer, and it was about this time last year. I'm really lacking on bringing Pensacola players in, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. There's the respect around the league that not many, we all just play on the beach and hang out and fun. But no, it's definitely a championship mentality first and foremost here. So we're excited to get back and itching, to kind of show our stuff to the league because obviously we haven't been playing up to our standards. So we want to get back at it and kind of get back on a little bit of a run here.
Yeah, definitely. And I wish you and the Ice Flyers the best of luck the rest of the season, man. And like I said, that's all I got for you. Once again, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. Appreciate that.
All right. Well, you have a good one now.
You as well.
All right, there you go. Garrett Milan from the Pensacola Ice Flyers. He's been there for a while. He's been all over the world playing hockey. I hope you guys enjoyed that interview as much as I did. It was a great one. It's always nice. I like bringing guys on where you get to talk to them about things that they've traveled abroad, so to say, and played in different places all over the world. So I'm gonna have to say he probably played more places than anybody else I've brought on the show, and that's cool. I mean. I didn't even really know that Hungary had hockey. Well, I knew they had it, but I didn't know they had a league. So that's cool. But that's about it for that part of it. Let's talk about what's going on in the league right now. Let me pull up my notes, also known as the SPHL's website. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you about what I'm looking at. So this last weekend, it was good games again. We started out on Friday with 4 games. Fayetteville and Macon. Fayetteville took care of Macon 3-2. Totally made me eat my words. Remember, I had Caleb Cameron and David Nippert on last week, and I said that game was going to be 4-2, I think, and in favor of Macon. Well, I'm going to have to bring those guys back on and tell them that they got to eat the crow, not me. No, that's all right. Other than that, then Birmingham played Pensacola. They went up quick in that game. Birmingham was playing with a purpose in that game. They won that one 5-2. Knoxville and Quad City in a nail-biter in overtime. A great game. 2 of the top teams in the league. Well, I don't know. I mean, the top teams in the league, really. I mean, I guess they're middle of the pack, but you know what I mean. They're 2 great teams, and they took it all the way to overtime. And then Peoria, oh, my God, 10-3 over Huntsville. Are you freaking kidding me? And I mean, here's the other thing about this. Peoria is not even playing up until recently with their number 1 goaltender because Churchfield's really been their number 1 guy when he's healthy. He's back now, but Peoria has really found another gear here early in the season, and they're looking really great. And I mean, you're putting 10 goals up on a Huntsville team. Maybe this Huntsville team isn't as good as last year's at this time or teams in the years past, but this is the freaking Huntsville Havoc, and they are a proud organization. I don't know the stats on it. I don't know if that was the biggest loss they've ever had, but I know that was a rough one. That was rough for them, and I'm not taking anything away from Peoria. They put a show on for the home crowd in the Civic Center. It was great. And we'll talk a little more about Peoria here in a little bit, actually. I got a few more notes on them. And then, Saturday night we had some more games. We had Macon and Pensacola. Another game I said Macon was going to win. They got shut out 2-0. Pensacola had, we were talking about it in the interview with Milan. They win one, lose one. That's kind of the way that their seasons went. But it was a good one. And then Roanoke welcomed in the Bulls at the Berglund Center, and they took them down 5-3. That was a good game, back and forth. But Roanoke ultimately they just took that over. And then Vermilion County, their new coach, got his first win. as the bench boss in a 4-2 victory over the Evansville Thunderbolts. And that also helped push Evansville down in the standings and give Peoria the spot they're in now. And then Knoxville and Quad City, another great game, not as good as the night before, 3-1. And then Peoria beat Huntsville again on Saturday night, 5-3. So they scored 15 goals against Huntsville over the weekend. Insane. Let's talk about Peoria for a minute. They are the number 1 team in the league. They have only played 16 games. They have 25 points. They are 12-3-1. They've only lost 3 times, and 2 of those came at the beginning of the season to the Quad City Storm. They are looking freaking phenomenal. They have not lost a game in regulation in a long time. They're a great team. They are looking every bit like they are, and now they're getting pieces coming back from last season. Godbout's back. I don't know if that happened last week. I think that did, and I already brought that up. But if not, oh well. I'm telling you again. Churchfield is back. He's off the IR. They're only getting better the way things go. They had a trade today. Not today. I don't remember what day it was, but not today. They traded Casey Kolcheski for Carter Rue to Huntsville. I don't know if Kolcheski just jumped on the Huntsville bus as they left on Saturday or how that all worked out, but that was a convenient, trade right there for him. Kolcheski, after staying in Birmingham for a couple of years, is now playing with his third team. He's been to Knoxville, he's been to Peoria, and now he's going to be in Huntsville. So 4 teams altogether. I don't take anything away. I'm going to have to bring him back on this podcast and have him tell me about Huntsville now. But another trade that's only going to make Peoria. I don't feel like losing Kolcheski is a massive loss for him. But I mean, you're going to lose. He's a high energy player. He's one of those guys that he's one of those guys that'll get under everybody's skin. But Carter Rue is also a very solid player, and I'm not going to lie to you. I don't see Peoria slowing down right now. And here's another thing: this team is. There's been a lot of stories breaking lately. I know last year it was already kind of announced that they need a new ice plant in the Civic Center there where Peoria plays. It's cost $2.5 million, something like that. They don't have a lease right now to play in the Peoria Civic Center next year, and a lot of people are speculating that they're going to move to Bloomington because they have that one Bloomington game this year. I'm not going to speculate that. I mean, hell, it makes sense. If that is the way that it goes, why not try a game there this year if that's where you're going to have to go next year? But they've been in Peoria for 40 years. I mean, they've been an ECHL, an AHL, and an SPHL team. It's going to be weird if they do leave. Now, I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying that they are. They got some things to work on. There's no lease, but there's also a lot of teams don't sign the lease until after the season's over for the next year. So that I wouldn't get too terribly worried about that. Granted, in February is when they got to start scheduling for next year. And so you got to know if you have ice. So there's a lot of factors playing into this right now that we're getting into. Kind of something's got to change. And there's rumors you hear that the Civic Center doesn't want them in there, and they could care less about the Rivermen and blah, blah, blah. I don't know if any of that's true. I don't speak to any of those people. So I'm not going to – I've heard them just like you guys have, but can I tell you if it's true or not? No, I cannot. I cannot tell you if it's true. But hopefully they can stick around in Peoria. I mean, it'd be tough to lose a hockey team that's been there longer than I've existed. I mean, I'm almost 40, but not there yet. And so – I mean, there's some people in Peoria right now that a lot of people that Rivermen fans that have known nothing other than the Rivermen being there. So hopefully things can get worked out. They can figure something out, maybe get that new ice plant. I know they're running an old ice plant with R12, and that's basically a non-existent form of Freon nowadays. That's me flexing my refrigeration muscles. Yeah, maybe I worked on refrigeration once or twice in my life. Nobody cares about that. Anyways, so we'll move on. So Evansville did not have a good weekend. They didn't have a good weekend. They've been sitting top of the league. They've played 20 games. They are now 2 games ahead of everybody else, but they're 11-7-2. They are 1 point out of first place. They just, like I said, they didn't have a good weekend. They've kind of not had a good run at it here lately. They're about a 500 team here in their last 10 games or so. So let me see. Let me pull that up. Yeah, they are right at about a 500 team. They're 5-4-1 in their last 10. And that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. They're just I don't know. I don't know what's going on because they're a good team. They're still, they're not a good team on the road. They're 4-5-2 on the road. That may be some of their problem. They've got to figure that out because they're 7-2 at home. But I don't know. I don't know what to tell you is going on there. I know that they're probably going to get it figured out. They're a good team. I need the schedule to even out. I need them to kind of the rest of the league to play as many games as them, so I can I feel like I can't really get a baseline off of them because they've already played 20 games and nobody else has yet. I don't know. I'm trying to compare them against the rest of the league, and I try so hard not to be like, well, they've played this many, that's why they're number one. But I mean, they have a winning record, so they're a good team. I got to watch them play twice. 2 times I watched them play. I mean, in person, I should say. But they ended up losing those games. But they're a solid team. They're a solid team. Next up, Roanoke, the Rail Yard Dogs. Nobody believed in them last year. Everybody pretty much canceled them out this year. Said, nah, that was just a fluke. They're number 3 in the league. They are 10-4-1-1 with 22 points. They're 3 points out of first place. They are on a 5-game winning streak, or 6-game, I guess. They've lost one in overtime here recently, but they are looking very good. They are playing very well in the way that they handle the Bulls. Birmingham is a good team. It's weird for me to say that. I mean, I've been covering them for the past 2 years, and they really haven't been a good team. So it's weird for me to say that they are this year, but they took care of Birmingham, and Birmingham was coming off of a very productive home win against Pensacola the night before. But you can't take anything away from those Rail Yard Dogs. Bunch of dirty dogs. They are playing very good hockey right now. That's about it. I'm gonna have to just leave it right there. I mean, they're playing excellent. Next up in the standing, you got Knoxville. Knoxville's kind of they swept the weekend. Played very close games with Quad City, but Knoxville's kind of like, it seems to me like Knoxville's kind of hit or miss here as of the last few weeks. I may be full of crap. I feel like they've put together, they're 5-3-0-2. Excuse me, in their last 10. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. And they're oh, excuse me again. I'm not feeling 100%. If you guys didn't notice that, still got that second round of the COVID shot, and it is kicking my butt. So back to Knoxville, anyways. So Knoxville is, they're 10-5-0-2, good team. Playing good hockey. I feel like they've kind of fell off in the last couple of weeks, but they showed that they could compete with everybody, and they could compete at a high level again when they beat Quad City. And they can pretty much play you however you want to be played, is the way that I've looked at it. They can play a gritty game. They can play a fast game. They can play a game where they get outshot and they can still win it. They can beat you from a different angles, and if they can keep that up where they can find all these ways to win, they're going to be a very scary team come playoff time. And that's it for that one. Next up, 5th in the league, the Birmingham Bulls. They are also 10-5-1. Very good team. I don't know what to say. I mean, that top line, Jordan Martin, Carson Rose, and Michael Gillespie is unbelievable. Carson Rose is a goal-scoring machine lately. He's had 2 hat tricks in his last 2 home games. He scored 4 goals, 1 in one of them, 3 this last weekend. I mean, Carson Rose is a madman. Really, that whole top line. I mean, this is a very, very good team. I can't put my finger on it, but I feel like maybe sometimes they leave their goalie out to hang him out to dry. It's kind of been a Birmingham problem for, I don't know, ever. Defense, they've got really talented defensemen. They've got offensive defensemen. But it seems like these goals that are getting let in are just, they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. They're leaving their goaltenders out to dry. And I feel like that may be why they're down in 5th instead of up in 2nd or 3rd after this past weekend. But hey, long season. And like I said during the interview with Milan, all that matters really is if you get into the playoffs. I mean, yeah, home ice is nice. Maybe you want to finish in the top 4, but at the end of the day, you just get in the playoffs. I think that's all that matters. Next up's Quad City. They up and down team. They've had a rough go. They haven't won in their last 3. They're 4-5-1 in their last 10. 9-7-1 overall. They started out so hot. They did the same thing last year, but this year, I mean, they started out really hot, beating Peoria, just handling business with Peoria, and you were like, oh yeah, this team is on a mission. And then they just kind of fizzled off. I don't know why. I mean, Bailey Birkin goes up and down to the ECHL, seems like every other week. Is it goaltending? What is missing? I mean, they played a tight one with Knoxville on last Friday night. But all in all, I don't think anybody in Quad City has anything to worry about. Next up, Huntsville. They are 9-7-0. Huntsville is a 500 team in their last 10 games, and they haven't won in their last 2. And they do have some serious problems because they just let 15 goals in last weekend. That is a serious problem. I don't care. I don't care what you have to say. You let 15 goals in, you have a problem. And they're going to get it fixed. DeTulio, he's in his last season. He's not going to let it go. The team, I mean, so many of these players have been with him for years, and he as a coach isn't going to do it. But right now, they've got to figure something out. I mean, yeah, Peoria is the best team in the league right now, hands down. There's no doubt about it. Peoria is the best team in the league. But you can't let them score 10 goals on you. You can lose to them. I mean, people lose to good teams, but you can't lose 10 goals. You can't. They got to figure something out there. Hunter Vorva is back in Kalamazoo. So they brought in Karpinski, I believe, is who the guy that they've brought in to fill that void while he's gone, who's also a good goaltender. But I don't know. They are in some trouble. They are not playing good hockey right now. They are really not playing good hockey right now. And they've got a little bit of work to do to stay competitive. And like I said, I don't care if Peoria is the top team in the league. 10 freaking goals. That's insane. Last time, what was it? Was it Pensacola? Did they score 12 or 13 on Macon last year? That's just insane. It's crazy when you see that many goals scored. Next up, Pensacola. They're in 8th, 9-9. They are a perfect 500. They're an interesting team. They're really an interesting team, but here's a fun fact. I don't know if it's still the right thing, but I'm going to look anyways. Yes, they still have the best power play in the league and the second best penalty kill. But why can't they win 2 games in a row? Why can't they sweep a weekend? Nobody knows. Nobody really knows. No. Now, Milan said it. He said they've got to figure it out. They've got to get something going. They, like I said, they're a good team. They're in a lot of these games. They've played games where they went down by 3. Twice they've played games going down by 3 and made the comeback. One of them they won. One of them they lost in overtime. They're a good team. They're just struggling to find their way. They need that next thing that'll get them over. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because, I mean, hell, if they score goals right off the bat, I mean, they scored a couple weeks ago against Birmingham. They scored right away. They scored twice. They were given a power play 13 seconds into the game, and they got on top early. They still let the Bulls come back. They ended up winning it. But what is it? Maybe it's not just one thing. Maybe it's just putting together that full 60 minutes of hockey, taking that 10 minutes off, like Garrett Milan was saying, maybe that 5 minutes, 10 minutes where you're just in the game and then it's just off. You got a full 60 minutes of hockey. I'll buy it. That seems to be the case. I mean, like I said, they're 9-9. So, I mean, they're right there. They're either they're on the cusp of either going down or up. I feel like they're going to go up. I feel like that's a good team. Getting to watch them play firsthand. I mean, they've got some skill players, and I don't feel like we're going to see them drop out of the top 8 when the season's over. But hell, being a 500 hockey club, you might drop out of the top 8 right now. But next up, the ninth place team, the Fayetteville Marksmen, who is a shocker to me. This is a team that is just not good this year. They're just not. They're just not good so far. They're not good. 8-2, another 500 club. They had a good last weekend. They did win. They were winning games. They played a lot better this past weekend, but overall, they just don't look that good. It just seems like maybe the passing isn't as crisp. They're just missing. It's. And this was a few weeks back when I watched them. They were playing. It just seemed like an unorganized hockey team. They got the Bulls this weekend. And that was the last time I watched them was play the Bulls, and the Bulls handled business against them. But they just seem like they don't have a lot of organization. And I'm not trying to. I mean, just really, that's it. That's all I have to say. It's not all coming together on the ice for them, and it shows in the standings, and it shows when the games are played. But this last weekend, they showed that they had got things together, and we'll look and see if they can build on that this week. But that's it. That's it on Fayetteville. Vermilion County, they got their third win of the season this past weekend, which was a pretty big deal. Let me pull something up here real quick. So last year they won 5 games. This year they are already at 3 games, and it's not Christmas yet. So we're looking good. Vermilion County coaching carousel. I've mentioned it. I'm not going to beat a dead horse on that. The new head coach got his first victory this last weekend. They looked good. And this Bobcat team actually looks a lot better than last year's Bobcat team. One thing I'm not sure of, and you never really know, they waived Ryback. Aaron Ryback was one of their top scorers on the team. I think he was third in scoring on the team. He's been there since last year. I feel like either the Bulls traded him there or the Bulls released him and he ended up there. But he's been on Vermilion County since last season. You never really know, and maybe he doesn't fit the new coaching philosophy. I'm not going to say he's a bad locker room guy. I don't know the guy, so I'm not going to throw that out there. I've seen a few things where people are like, well, maybe he's just a bad locker room guy. It's tough to say that because you're not in the locker room, and I'm not going to question a man's integrity, or I don't know if that's the right word, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm sure somebody's going to pick him up. I mean, he's a good, talented hockey player. Somebody will grab him somewhere, and we'll see him playing again. But back to really just the Bobcats. They're looking a lot better. It really kind of started Thanksgiving weekend when Sarcona was still there. They had a rough weekend, but you could tell this team's been looking better this year. And I still would like to know why they parted ways with Sarcona, but hey, it is what it is. They're on a winning streak, 1-0, but I still don't see this team making the playoffs. I still just don't see them. They're, like I said, they're 10th in the league. They're looking good at times. They're looking bad at other times. They've allowed the most goals out of every other team in the league. That's not the greatest. They're not a very penalized team, though. This is a different team. Let's look at their special teams. I need to bring that up. So their power play, 9th in the league, 17.2, not very good. And the penalty kill sitting down there in 9th. They're just hanging out down there. So yeah, I don't know. But the Bobcats, I'm looking at the wrong stuff now. So the Bobcats have won 2 of their games on the road. So maybe they don't like playing in that barn. Maybe since the barn doesn't want them, they don't want to play good in there. Maybe that's what it is. That's another one that I've heard. Why am I saying that? I have never spoke to anybody that runs the what's that, David S. Palmer Arena. I've never spoken to anybody there. So I can't tell you if they want them there or not. I've heard a lot of things, but I can't tell you that. But next up, let's go. Oh, what did I do here? Let's go to Macon. So Macon talked them up, pumped their tires, had a couple of them on last weekend, told them that this was the weekend things were going to turn around, and most definitely was not. Macon's another team that's kind of in trouble right now. I don't know. They need to figure something out. I mean, they've got a lot more skill players on their team this year than they had last year. They've got guys like CJ Hayes, which, yeah, I'm going to be biased to him because we share the same last name. We're brothers from another mother. CJ Hayes is a fast skater. He's a very skilled skater. He's got a great hockey sense. And you got other guys. I mean, I'm not sure where in the 60 minutes of the hockey game it is that this team is falling apart, because it seems just much like other teams I've talked about. It's different. But man, they're just not playing good hockey right now. They're just really not. And I don't want to beat a dead horse. I don't want to sit here and just rag on them, but it's been a while since they've won. It's been a while. Their 2 wins, I mean, they're 1 point out of 10th place, I guess, with 2 wins, but they're more than 10 points out of a playoff spot right now. They are more than 10 points out of a playoff spot. Both them and Vermilion County. They got to turn things around very quickly here. They've got to turn things around pretty quickly, because even though it's December, even though we're mid-December right now, you keep slipping, those 10 points will be 15 points by January. And then in February, you might be 20 points out. And you know how hard it is to come back from 20 points out in February? They've got to figure something out. They've got to turn it on. They've got to get it going. And here's the thing. I really feel like they can. I feel like this team can do that, but I don't know when it'll happen, and I don't know how it'll happen, but I really feel like this team can just turn things around. Like I said, they've got skilled players. They've got good players on the team. I'm not sure what's missing. And they don't quit. They don't give up. They're not one of those teams that when they're down, they give up. You know, they keep playing. They're not trying to goon things up. You know, a lot of teams, in every league of hockey, they get down a little while. They try to goon things up a little bit. You don't really see Macon doing that. I mean, I don't know. I worry about them. I worry about Vermilion County. Both of those teams have got to turn things on. They are definitely separated from the rest of the league substantially. I mean, 18 points is what gets you in a playoff spot right now. You got a 3-way tie essentially for 8th. Fayetteville's in 9th, but Vermilion County has 7 points and Macon has 6. So both of those teams, I worry about them to keep things competitive, keep everybody on their toes. I want the parity that we have in the league right now from 8th to 1st. I want that to be from 11th to 1st. I think you guys do too. I mean, it'll make the playoff race a lot more fun, because right now we only have one team. If the season were to end this weekend, we only have one team that's fighting for that final playoff spot. That's all there is. There's just one team fighting for it. That's not fun. We want good battles, but I think that's it. I think I have talked enough, and I am very proud of myself for pulling this one off today. I almost didn't do this one because I am telling you guys I feel like crap. I don't know what it is about that COVID shot, but dang it, that thing knocked me on my rear. But I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna survive. As you see, I'm here. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see my ugly face. It's there. It's got color in it. You know, I mean, it's all right. But I'm done. I don't want to keep bugging you guys about a bunch of nonsense. Thank you for listening to this. As always, like I always tell you, subscribe to our YouTube page, leave us some comments. If you're listening on the Field Pass Hockey app or Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast, Spotify, blah, blah. I don't even know how many. There's a million places podcasts are at now. Just, I really appreciate it. And hit me up on Twitter. Hey, leave me a comment. Leave me some feedback. You see me share the post for this out anywhere. Field Pass. You see me share Field Pass Hockey's post about this, because I always do. I got to promote myself. Some guy gave me crap about it one day in one of the some group, some guy said self-promotion much or something like that. Well, of course I'm going to self-promote. That's how you get listeners, is you promote yourself. That's what you do. So, but anyways, why am I getting off on this? Anyways, all I'm saying is leave me some feedback. Comment on some stuff. Tell me how I'm doing. Tell me what you want to hear. Drop a couple player names. Hell, I've had people send me messages and ask for players from a certain team, not a specific one. I may not be able to turn that into something next week, but I definitely listen. I will listen. And if the player is willing to come on, I will find a way to get him on. You just give me some ideas. I'm just shooting in the breeze here. I try to do my best to keep some best. I said breast. Sorry about that. I try to do my best to kind of give every fan base access to or every fan base, something to listen to with players from their team. I try to do it last year. I'm trying to do it again this year. If I've forgotten your fan base so far, trust me, I'm going to get one of your guys on. I will. I promise. It's my goal. I mean, it's going to happen. But anyways, that's it. I'm done. I don't want to talk anymore. I appreciate everything you guys are listening to, or everything you guys are doing by listening to this. And until next time.
You've been listening to the Inside the SPHL podcast. Got a topic you'd like discussed? Follow James on Twitter @FPHBulls. For the latest news on the SPHL and the rest of minor league hockey, download the Field Pass Hockey app, now available in the Apple and Android app stores.